We are very excited and grateful to have an esteemed Sufi teacher, Dr. Ibrahim Jaffe, with us today. Dr. Ibrahim Jaffe is an MD and Murshid Murabi Ruhi of the Shadliya Sufi order. As a spiritual teacher and caregiver of the spirit, he brings his unique healing ability to the subtle level of the spirit within his students and patients. He is the founder of the Shadliya Sufi Center, University of Spiritual Healing and Sufism, and Dr. Jaffe MD Seminars and Institute. His website is drjaffemd.com. His teaching today is Deepening Your Connection and Spiritual Guidance from God. Ibrahim, welcome, and thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, you're welcome, Abdullah. Welcome to everybody. I do want to say I noticed that the video is going in and out. I'm not sure, Abdullah, if that's on your side or if that's over here on mine. If it is on mine, let me know, because I can hook into a different Wi-Fi to get it a little more technically strong.
Okay, I've noticed that too, Ibrahim, but so far so good. So let's just keep going.
Okay, all right. So welcome everyone. We're going to start with the Fatiha. Those of you who know it, please join me. This is the opening Sufi prayer that connects us to God and opens the realms of the Malakut and the Jabarut and the Lahut. These are the deeper oceans that exist. And we say this prayer, it allows that light of those oceans to come into our consciousness. So everybody close your eyes. And if you don't know it, just listen. And those of you who know it, please join me. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim. Amen. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ibrahim Rasulullah. Musa Rasulullah. Isa Rasulullah. Alayhi Salatullah. Amen. Okay, so for the new people, just so you know, that Fatiha is the opening Sufi prayer. It leads us into the oneness. And then the La ilaha illallah means there's no God but the one God. Muhammad and Rasulullah means Muhammad was a messenger, and Abraham was a messenger, and Moses and Jesus were messengers of God. So by saying that, what we're really doing is we're calling in their spirits. Now, you know, we're in a very interesting time in history right now. There's a lot going on all over the world. And a lot of things are changing, you know, very, very quickly. And as they change, what I'm seeing is that many people are kind of afloat, almost as if they're afloat without guidance or they're not really sure where they're going. They're not really sure what's happening. So it's very important at this time that we really have guidance within. And at the same time, you know, Siddhi, who was the guide of the Shadliya Way, who recently died, and, you know, would speak about the ship of safety. And he would speak about how we had to be on that ship of safety to be safe. And he talked about that ship as having divine law. And then he talked about it as belief or trust in God. and then excellence in our actions, our attributes, and our ethics, and finally in our witnessing of the reality itself. So in the Sufi teachings, everyone, we're walking into that process. But the central core of the Sufi teachings is our ability to have that real state of guidance, that real state of connection, that real state of oneness, and to be able to hold that. Okay, so the way it works for most people is in the beginning, that guidance is brought in to a certain level, to a certain extent, by divine action and by remembrance. So as you do the divine actions, you begin to follow the actions that God wants, you will start to be surrounded by a light. Now, those people who are clairvoyant, they see that light as something that looks a little bit like snow. It's like your body is surrounded by snow. And the prophet spoke about this. He said that the light of divine law was as pure and as like white snow. And this is something that happens in your energy field, your light body. You start to become full of this light. And what that light means is that you are really following divine law in a really beautiful way. You're really with divine law in a beautiful way. And that alone, whether you realize it or not, brings you tremendous protection. When you're following divine law, it's almost like that shield of white light. It keeps away bad things. It keeps away the darkness. It keeps away evil. It keeps away all those type of things, because that light, it's almost like I don't know what, it almost like it bounces off. Everything bounces off of that light, and that light keeps you safe. So if you're walking down a street, for example, I remember one time I was in New York City, and I don't know, somebody wanted to take me through the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, and they took me in through the bar. And I remember, it's very rare for me to go through the bar, because I don't, it's something that I haven't even seen in many ways in the last 20 years. And we somehow walked to the bar. And of course, I was wearing my Sufi robes and everything else. And I made quite a stir as I was walking through that bar. And yet, as people turned and they were kind of angry about me being in there and why this guy's there wearing robes and all this type of thing. And I could feel the anger and the resentment kind of flying out from the people. But as it came towards me, it was almost like I was surrounded in a bubble. And that bubble literally reflected all of that off of me. And I remember walking through the whole time feeling absolutely protected, absolutely covered. It's like nothing could touch me, nothing could hurt me, nothing could come at me. I was completely in a state of very, very deep protection. So as we're kind of walking through this time right now, and everything is so unclear, where are we going as a country? Where are we going as a world? Well, every day we turn on the radio, TV, something's happening all over the world in new ways, things with Iran, things with the nuclear disarmament, all this type of thing. How do we stay protected? How do we stay strong in ourselves? We need to have this divine guidance, and we need to have this protection of this white bubble, a bubble of God's protection around us. So how you do that is you learn divine law. Okay, now divine law has been written about in many teachings. It started in the first teaching that I know of on our planet, that we have it is, of course, with the Jewish teachings that came in. There was a great deal of law that came in with Moses. He came in with the Ten Commandments, and he came in with the tablets, and then he came in with later a great deal of laws that became the Talmud, and those laws were brought down into earth. Then later, of course, Jesus came, but in many ways Jesus, he didn't change or add or make any differences to those laws. Those laws were still carried in a way Jesus carried them, but in time that kind of disappeared. A lot of those laws sort of became lost. Now, later, when the Prophet Muhammad came, he pretty much revived many of those laws and actually made them easier, so that the laws became more soft and more open, easier. Everything became easier. So in the Islamic creed, you have very, very similar divine laws as you do in the Jewish creed, but actually easier. Now, my experience, and it doesn't really matter which way you follow at a certain level, but if you find those, you follow those laws, and you really follow them, you will see that you build up this white light of protection around your body. So first thing is really learning what it means. What should we learn? How do we act? What is God asking of us? What is God asking us to eat, to see, to watch? What do we do? Where do we go? And as you begin to follow those things, that white light of protection will become solid around you. But if we go deeper, we see that really what's happening inside of people is they're very confused today. They don't know where they're going. They don't know what they're doing. Their core guidance has disappeared. The very nature of core guidance has disappeared. Why? Because the earth is so full of things that as you watch the very nature of the earth itself, you'll see that there's almost clouds of confusion covering the whole planet. Abdul, I'm getting a lot of feedback on here. Are you getting that too?
Occasionally, for the most part, it's good. There's one person that I haven't been able to mute for whatever reason on my end. Sherry K, if you can mute yourself, that would be appreciated. I can't mute you. I think it's about as good as we can do right now, Ibrahim.
Okay. Okay, so anyways, this ability to have that connection to God is a critical piece of the Sufi path as you're learning to have that deep, deep connection to God. And today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be walking through a reading that Sidi gave, and we're going to kind of go over some of that. I'll be reading it to you, and we'll be talking to you a little bit about what he wrote, and we'll be talking about it, you know, in relationship to connection. In other words, what I don't want you doing is I don't want you following your own mind. And I don't, you know, in other words, many people, they say, okay, I want to follow myself. I want to follow what's inside of me. You see, the problem with following the self is that the self interprets things through its own ego structure, its own nafs, and then it wants to follow that itself. Okay, and what happens is that the way the self interprets things, you know, is very, very similar to the person who's interpreting. So, for example, if you're a violent person, you're going to interpret everything through violence. If you're an angry person, you're going to interpret everything through anger. If you're a frightened person, you're going to interpret everything through fear. So it's very important that you don't interpret things through your own mind, that we try to find a different system of understanding how we can interpret those things. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to be reading a little bit from this book here. I don't know if you can see it. It's called He Who Knows Himself. Oh, here we go. He who knows himself knows his Lord. And this is page 80. If anybody wants to join me, they can go to that page in that book. And you can go ahead and join me on the reading. Okay, this chapter, let me just take a look, is from what's called the Nafs El Llama, the blaming self. Okay. All right, so let's close. And Sidi's talking about, he says, make your supplication for the purification of your heart as follows. O discharger of hearts, discharge my heart to obey you. And after its purification, O one who makes hearts return, turn my heart in accordance to your way. Okay. So Sidi starts out, he's saying, if you want to purify your heart, so you have this connection to God, the first thing that you have to do is you have to make a supplication. Okay, and so he says, oh, discharger of hearts, discharge my heart to obey you. So what does he mean, discharge my heart to obey you? Okay. Saying is that deep down inside that people are, there's impurities that are happening inside the heart. Okay, in other words, inside yourself, you're carrying things that need to be purified inside of yourself. There's things going on inside of you that are keeping you back. They're holding you back from the one, okay? And this is in all human beings. Doesn't matter who you are, or what your religion is, or anything. Those things are going on inside yourself, okay? How do you know that those things are inside yourself? Because deep down inside, you're feeling pain, you're confused, and you're suffering, okay? So when Siddhi talks about discharger of hearts, he's saying, oh, people with a heart, discharge from yourself those places that are causing you pain. And discharge from your heart those places that are causing you to be lost. And discharge from yourself those places of rage and anger and hatred and fear, the emotional states inside yourself. And he's saying to you, try to find something deeper, which is the real peace. Try to find the real love. Try to find the real beauty inside of your own heart and focus on that. Sometimes some of you have walked very deeply. You've got, such beautiful energy inside of you, and yet you keep letting places inside your hearts pull you off. You keep going into old images, old pictures, old memories, old experiences, times with your mother, times with your father, and you keep pulling it off from your natural state of being. It's almost like you're tripping yourself up. You have the light, it's inside of you, but you keep turning away in your heart and you keep looking behind you. And then you keep saying, well, why am I lost? Why am I stuck? Well, the reason you're lost and you're stuck is because you're looking behind you. We don't want to be looking behind us anymore. What we want to do is be looking forward. We want to be looking to Allah. We want to be focusing the eye of our heart on the one. And we want, in that focusing to Allah, we want to be glorifying God. We want to be sitting with God each moment. We want to be with God each moment. A lot of people, your lives, you don't realize it, subtly are being dominated by yourself. Deep down inside your heart, you're listening to your own self. You're listening to the voices in your own hearts. You're listening to your fears. You're listening to your programming from your mother, from your father, your past. You're listening to the pain from your old wife or your old situation. So as we go forward in this process, what we're doing is we're learning to let that go. We're learning to let go of the past, and we're learning to focus ourselves right on top of the moment, but not just the moment. It's not like being in the present moment that you hear about today. Yes, you have to be in the present moment, but you're in the present moment in the presence of God, in the light of God. And I'm not speaking about religion. I'm speaking about the pure, absolute state of divine light, that you're in that state of consciousness, that you're following that state in everything that you do. So this is what we're learning to do. We're learning to sit and to be in that presence. We're learning to sit and to follow that, okay? Now, some of you I know are very busy. I know that some of you have children, some of you have babies, some of you are dealing with, life that's very busy, but you'll see that it's still not that difficult to find that time to stay with Allah. I remember when we had our last child, and the baby was, born, and this child was very, very much cried a lot. My last one, for whatever reason, was crying frequently, and so after a few months, my wife gave her to me, and I remember I was up at night, 2 o'clock to maybe 5 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, every single morning, and I was walking the child and rocking the child. And I began remembering the name of Allah, and I began to remember Allah. And as I began walking and walking, the child began to absorb the dhikr inside of her heart. And, it was actually, in time, it became amazing, because every night she'd cry, she'd wake me up. I would do 1, 2, 3 hours of remembrance, walk around the house. By the time I was done, she'd fall asleep, put her back down to sleep, go back to sleep. And that went on for about a year and a half. Okay. Well, for me personally, during that time, I went deeper and deeper and deeper into Allah because the baby was forcing me into that system. By the same token, the child also went deeper and deeper into Allah. So one day, I remember we came to see Sidi, and Sidi was, it was interesting. I watched him, and, you couldn't really see it, but he would take his light, his hands, and he would open this like vast reality, and then he would bring it down. So I walked up and I was holding the child. She was all like a year old, maybe a year and a half, I don't know. And he takes this light and he looks at it and he opens it like this, and he brings it down into the heart of the baby. And the baby kind of smiles and goes, hello, however she said, kind of Googled around. So Sidi opens up a bigger light, and then he brings it down to the baby, and the baby smiles and kind of says, hello. Sidi kind of shakes his head. So he opens up this vast mountain of light, and he brings it down into the heart of the child, and the baby kind of goes, hello. And Sidi goes, this baby can receive all the light of Allah. Then he smiled and he walked away. So what I'm trying to say to you is use your time. When you're up at night, when you're in your life, don't stop with yourself. Don't stop with your nafs. Rather, in the deep way, go forward and be able to use your time to deepen your remembrance, your connection to that pure light. Being in the presence of God is the highest way of life. There's no higher way of living. Being with your God self, if you want. Then people say the God self, if it makes you happy that way. Being with the light of God, your God self, the highest reality. This is the highest way to live. It's the highest way for you to live. It will bring you the most fulfillment. It will bring you the most happiness, the most protection, the most goodness in your life. And when you live in the presence of God, in the afterlife, your life is different. When you die and you carry this light, your entire reality of your soul, when it leaves the body, is completely different. It is so much more holy. When the soul leaves, it's covered with pure light. When it comes through, it's covered with pure beauty. When it comes through, you are full of that divine reality. As a physician, and I've spoken about this, I've watched many deaths. Most of the time when people die, the spirit leaves the body, and it leaves in a kind of an abrupt way. It pulls out fairly quickly. It leaves the body. There is sort of a shock as it comes out. And then there's usually a period of time of confusion as the spirit's outside of the body. And then eventually it goes through what happens, which I won't go into tonight. But it goes through a series of processes that happen right at the time of death. But when a person has walked the path and they leave the body, the departure from the body is very, very smooth. And it's almost like milk. It's just kind of gently leaves the body. And then the time after it leaves is full of absolute love, so much love and so much beauty. And the entire experience is absolutely one of extraordinary peace and extraordinary goodness. So that's what I'm saying, as you walk on the path, you want to be protected. You want to work forward with your life. You want to be able to carry all that beauty inside yourself. And this will kind of define in the deepest place what will happen to you. So when Sidi says, make your supplication for the purification of your heart as follows: O discharger of hearts, discharge my heart to obey you. He's starting with, purify my heart so that I'm willing to listen to your commands, God. Purify my heart so I'm willing to listen to your commands. So what he's speaking about is both the outer commands and the inner commands. The outer commands and the inner commands. And then he says, after purification, O one who makes hearts return, turn my heart in accordance to your way. Okay. O one who makes hearts return, turn my heart in accordance to your way. That means what? What does that mean? It means turn your heart back to the one. Turn your heart back to God. Turn your heart to the presence of the divine reality and keep yourself facing that divine reality. I remember one night, a lot of years ago, we went to visit Sidi's son in, where was it, Fairfax or Fairfield, California, up by the San Francisco. And we had a small living room, and the Sufis very often, they'll pull out a bunch of, mats, and everybody will sleep, in the floor together. So we were all kind of sleeping together. It was my first time sleeping in Sidi's presence. And I ended up next to him, and he fell asleep very quickly. And as he was sleeping, I was listening to his breathing. I was curious, what does a Sufi master breathe like? And every time he breathed, he would breathe in, and he would breathe out, Allah. He would breathe in, Allah, and he'd breathe out, Allah. And he did that the entire night, because I was up a lot of the night, and I wasn't used to sleeping with a bunch of people like that. And the entire night, he was breathing Allah's name all night long. So he never left that presence. He was in that presence of God all the time. If you want to reach, into the state of Hakika, you want to complete your walking into Hakika, to reach the truth, to reach the oneness, then it's very important that you keep your presence with Allah. Don't leave it. Don't get caught by the world. Don't get caught by people. Don't get caught by all those things. Keep yourself in the presence of God each moment. And that will open the door for you. And when you find yourself distracted by the world and by your husband, and by your wife, and by your, whatever's going on, your kids, come back. You can take care of your kids and still be connected to Allah. You can make dinner and still be connected to Allah. So please try that, okay? Please try that over and over again. Okay. Now, Sidi says, you must perform this supplication at sunrise and sunset. At sunrise and sunset. So he's saying to you that why is he saying at sunrise and sunset? Because these are the twilight times. Okay, the twilight times are the times when the shadow forces of the world are most active. And this is the time when most people get caught. So, and this is across the whole planet. It's like as the nightfall starts to fall, you have that twilight time. That's the time when you want to do supplications like this, because that's the time that it will turn your hearts back to the one. It will protect you from the shadows. It will help you in every way. So when Sidi says you must perform this supplication at sunrise and sunset, this means that Allah turns the heart from heedlessness to remembrance, and from laughter to weeping. The purpose of this supplication is to ask for uprightness and straightforwardness on the path. And in this station, by which I mean the second station of the secret of his saying, the hearts are between the two fingers of the universally compassionate manifest to you. Okay, so in this moment, he's talking about the second station of the heart, the Nafs El Llama. Okay, the Nafs El Llama. And by the way, even people that have walked further, the third station, fourth station, there are times you're going to fall back to this station. So even if you've gone past it, know that you may visit this station again and again. So important to know it. He's saying, what happens in a station? We get forgetful. We become heedless. We forget Allah. We're busy with all sorts of things. We're busy with the world. We're busy with our businesses. We're busy with the kids. We're busy with the families. We're heedless of Allah. We're heedless of Allah. Allah is asking you not to be heedless. He's asking you not to be heedless. He's asking you to turn yourself back. He's asking yourself to stay in that remembrance. And even if you're working, whatever you're doing, even if you're working, You take yourself and you put yourself in the presence of Allah. You're with Allah. You're turning yourself back to Allah. And you're present with His light deeper and deeper and deeper inside of yourself until the oneness appears for you. Okay? So the purpose of this supplication asks for uprightness and straightforwardness on this path. And in this station, by which I mean the second station of the secret of his saying, see, now he jumped. He went from the second station of the heart into the second station of the secret, because all the second stations are lined up. It's like the second station of the nafs, the ego self, second station of heart, soul, secret. There's like a line that goes through that. They line up. So now he's jumping. He says, by this I mean the second station of the secret, when he says, the hearts are between the two fingers of the universally compassionate manifest to you. Okay, what are the heart's two fingers? He's talking about the Jamal and the Jalal. The finger of Jamal, of ease, of beauty, and the finger of Jalal, of difficulty and majesty. He's saying that Allah turns every soul between those two parts. This is part of the, when you reach into the stations of the secret, which is the world of spirit, which is the fourth station, you're going to be moved consistently between beauty and majesty, beauty and difficulty. It goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And if you're going to pass the station, you have to not hold on to any of it. Whatever happens to you, witness it and stay present with Allah. Witness it, stay, so that Jamal comes, witness it, and stay present with Allah. The Jalal comes, witness it, stay present with Allah. In other words, don't be afraid of carrying that light in whatever you do. A lot of people, when the Jalal comes and get heat and they get forgetful, they start to say, oh, I can't deal with this anymore. They begin to drop off. Don't do that. Don't do your dropping off. Stay present. Stay present. And whatever happens, okay, difficulty comes, the Jalal comes, thank Allah for the Jalal, bow your head to it, accept it, be with it, bow to it, say, Allah, what is it you want to teach me? What is it you want me to know? And Allah will teach you what you don't know. Allah will teach you what's beyond your mind, beyond your heart, beyond your soul. He'll teach you something beyond everything. He'll teach you the world of divine will, divine thought, divine knowledge, divine love. That the only way he can teach that to you is he has to bring that Jalal to you. So when you get disconnected and you get afraid, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. He will return you if you don't get too caught by it. A lot of people, they get disconnected, they freak out, they get neurotic. Oh my God, I've lost God. Where is she? Where did he go? He is going to get lost. You are going to lose him. And then you're going to find him. And you are going to lose him. And you're going to find him. And if you follow it and you don't allow yourself to be afraid, step after step after step, he will purify your secret, your spirit. Step after step, he'll open the door for you. And you will find eventually your way home into the world of divine unity, which is the completion, the complete understanding. So see, he goes on to say, he is your provider who makes you forget the pain of striving. Okay, so desire wayfaring on the path to Allah and abhor everything that is not Allah. If you do not do what you have just been advised to do, then you will see only weariness and suffering. So let me repeat that. He says, Allah is your provider. It is he who makes you forget the pain of striving. What is striving? Striving means that this path, see, this path is a little bit different. You're not only sitting quietly doing nothing, watching the grass grow. Some paths you're meditating, you're sitting quietly, you're watching the paths go. That's part of meditation. That's part of the Jamal. That's part of beingness. But this path also has the other side of it, which is the Jalal, the difficulties. Okay, so you have both the two fingers, the ease and the difficulty. And Siddhi's saying, when the difficulty comes, you want to strive. Striving means, what is this thing going on inside of me? Why do I feel bad? What is Allah bringing? How do I surrender into it? How do I accept this? How do I open my heart to what God wants to teach me? You see, the minute you do that, you break free of your resistance. You're not fighting anymore. Then it's no longer a struggle, a battle to push it away or not to deal with it. The battle's gone. You're simply saying, okay, I welcome you. I welcome you, difficulty. What are you bringing to me? Why, God, are you bringing this to me? What? And behind it, there's a jewel. It's the silver lining in the cloud. There's a jewel, and that jewel is divine wisdom. It comes through the Jalal. So he says, desire wayfaring, meaning to travel on the path to Allah, where you strive, and abhor everything that is not God, meaning let go of the world. Allah is going to put himself in front of you. When I say put himself in front of you, I mean his light. God is going to put his light in front of you, in front of your heart. He's going to say, open your heart to me, connect to me, know me, find me. He's going to ask you to let go of everything. And I mean that. In time, you will let go of everything. You're going to have to let go of your attachment to yourself. You're going to have to let go of your attachment to your home, your attachment to your husband, your attachment to your wife, your attachment to your children. I'm not saying you let go of your kids. I'm not saying you let go of your husband or your wife. I'm saying that you let go of your attachment, that you trust. What's going to happen with my husband is in Allah's hands. What's going to happen with my wife is in Allah's hands. Allah, what is it that you want to happen with my husband? Allah, what is it that you want to happen with my wife, with my kids? You see? So you're facing Allah, and you're asking him to help you, rather than fight. Well, I don't like it that my husband does this. I don't like it that my husband wants that. You see? No. You're in yourself. You're fighting with your husband through yourself. Rather, you turn to Allah and say, Allah, what is it you want? I want you to love your husband. But he's being mean to me. Doesn't matter. I want you to love your husband. You see? Allah will help you as you walk through that process. He's trying to teach you that process. Okay. So he goes on to say, if you do not do what you have just been advised to do, then you will see only weariness and suffering. If something of this secret manifests to you without struggle, know that it is the ego claiming a perfection that the self does not yet have. For it is one of the ego's characteristics to claim perfection just by hearing it. So people hear about perfection, and then the ego says, that's me. Okay, and Siddhi's saying, don't just hear something, you have to become it. And the only way you're going to become it is through striving. Umar ibn al-Farid, who was a great Sufi Gnostic, said, strive to witness within you and from you what I describe. An independent, tranquil quietness from the existence of my tranquil quietness. Okay, as you travel into the worlds of gnosis, you're going to see a great silence descends upon you. And you'll both hear it, and you'll feel it, and you'll see it. And Ibn Farid is saying, strive to witness within you and from you this silence, this tranquil quietness. Okay. Now he goes into something very powerful. He says, vision or mushahada does not occur except with striving. So strive against yourself and bring forth the treasures that are within you. Okay? Vision does not occur except with striving. Vision, mushahada, not mujahada, but mushahada. He says vision does not occur, divine vision, vision of God, vision of God's light, of God's reality, does not occur except with striving. So strive against yourself and bring forth the treasures that are within you. Do not accept triviality and mere verbosity, for whoever claims what he does not have, the proofs of trial will expose his lying. So put yourself on trial and do not believe the self, and be the one who brings it to accountability. Scold and reprimand your nafs for everything in opposition to the way, and be its enemy. Speak with your guide or sheikh, and do not hide anything of its ugliness from him, because the more you gain from the secrets of this way, the most likely the benefit will be yours. But beware of arrogance and pretension. Okay, so let's review that briefly. He's saying to you, if you're going to reach, you have to strive. He says, vision, mushahada, does not occur without striving against yourself. So strive against yourself and bring forth the treasures. What are the treasures? The 99 names that live in your soul. Do not accept triviality and mere verbosity, meaning that sometimes people will speak and sometimes people will talk, and sometimes you'll speak and sometimes you'll talk. And he says, do not accept those things within. So put yourself on trial and do not believe the self, and be the one who brings yourself into accountability. Okay, so he's teaching you how to be with yourself. And by the way, this is how you get the divine connection. The divine connection at the highest level is mushahada. You're seeing it. You actually see it in your soul. You see the light of God coming to you, and you have to strive against yourself. You have to strive against your arrogance. You have to strive against your righteousness. You have to clear those things so you see that within yourself. Okay, so everybody take a moment. Let's close our eyes for just a minute. Okay. Excuse me. What is your self saying to you in this moment about what I just read to you? Okay. So remember that you're either hearing voices inside you or you're in a place of tranquil quietness. Okay. All right. Now, Siddhi goes on to say, and listen closely to this part. He says, be truthful in your quest for medicine, and strive until the wonders and secrets of the heart become unveiled for you, until you enter into the world of similitudes, Alam el Mithal, the world of similitudes, Alam el Mithal, which is a different world from the which you live in now. No one knows it except the one in the station of the heart, which is the end of the second station of the seven mentioned stations. It is the first station of the ones brought near, in which the wayfarer begins the affairs that are not comprehended by the five senses, because the heart of the faithful believer is the throne of Allah and the house of Allah, which means it is the locus of the secrets of Allah. Okay. So now he goes in and he says, be a follower of divine law, which includes the sayings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, created by the way, and follow his actions, his hunger, his sleep, and his silence. I remember I was wanting to buy a bed, and I was just about to buy, one of these really plush Sealy mattresses or Serta, I don't remember what it was. They had a big pillow top on it. It looked very comfortable. I thought, boy, I'm going to sleep so comfortable. And then the next day I was reading about the Prophet, and they said that he used to sleep on this mat of straw. And when somebody asked him why he slept on this uncomfortable mattress, he said, oh, I sleep on this mattress because I want to get up in the night and remember God. And if I sleep on a comfortable mattress, I'll be so comfortable, I'll sleep through the whole night. You see, the way of the prophets are different, and they teach us something else. It's like, is it really about getting a good night's sleep, or is it about waking up and remembering in the night? Is it waking up and praying in the night? So he's saying to us, be followers of the divine law, but he's also saying be followers of the actions. In other words, the Prophet used to fast frequently. He slept little. He kept a great deal of silence. Don't be afraid of that yourself. Don't be afraid to carry those things in yourself. Whenever the messenger spoke, he spoke only goodness. So that's a very interesting statement. This is something for us human beings, because I listen to this all the time. When I'm walking around, and like we're at the hotel here in Tampa, Florida, and I listen sometimes to the participants, sometimes to the people staying in the hotel. Most of the conversations are negative. Most of the conversations are not saying that much good. The Prophet spoke always goodness. Nonetheless, they say he was mostly silent. He would stay silent for long times, and he would laugh little. Why is that? Why would he stay silent for long periods of time? So that he could hear the divine. And also, when he spoke, people often misunderstood him, and they began to make images or pictures out of what he said. They would say, oh, you said this or you said that. And he would say, no, it's not like that. He would say, well, I meant something different, but the people didn't understand. We have to be like that too. This is no different. Jesus was quiet. Moses was quiet. They spoke in that quiet way. Know, my beloved, that if you embody the ethics of the Prophet and his states, peace and blessings be upon him, then act in accordance with this, and springs of wisdom will gush forth from your heart and your speech, your tongue, and you will be traveling the path of the ones brought near. And so you will travel higher and higher than the righteous ones, and you will depart from them, and you will travel into the presence of the mighty, El-Azim. Your first house in this journey will be called the world of similitudes, which contains all the imaginary pictures between the density of bodies and the subtleties of spirits. Okay? So what is the realm of similitudes? This is the world of Al-Jabarut. This is the world of the subtle world, the mythal Al-Jabarut, which contains the images, the world of the imagination. But it's a true world. It's actually a living world, although from our perspective, we only imagine it. But from the perspective of the world, people live in it. So he says, your first house in this journey will be the world of similitudes, which contains all the imaginary pictures between the density of the bodies and the subtlety of your spirit. You will see what veils you. You must strengthen your travel, your himma, your passion to travel. You must increase your longing. The fire of divine love will ignite in your heart. This is called the ishq. The ishq will light in your heart. It will discharge the desires of yourself, and it will throw away the shaitan, the little devils that try to stop you. If any spiritual desire remains in you in this station, it is not harmful, because what is required from you in this station is to be cut off from the desires of the self, which are dark, considering what is beyond them. Know that entering the world of similitude is only granted to the travelers on the path. It is a state that is an intermediate between sleep and wakefulness. It comes to the traveler while he's sitting, and it is called the inevitable. In this state, you see that your condition is that you know the place and time you're in, and you know that you are between sleep and wakefulness. If these conditions are not met, then it is only a dream and should not be counted as a vision. In other words, when you have visions, you know you're partly awake, you're partly asleep, so you're aware that you have a vision. Where in the dream state, you're not really aware of it. Because the state is between sleep and wakefulness, sleep can overcome the traveler at the beginning. Then he ascends until the wakeful state overcomes the sleeping state. In this state of wakefulness, he begins to see the spirits, and he thinks he sees them in a state of wakefulness. But in truth, he sees them in the spiritual world. Because his himma is strong, this state is closer to wakefulness than to sleep, so he thinks of himself as awake. It is in this state that Gabriel came to the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, in the image of a Bedouin man. In this state, called similitude, the spiritual being of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, can be seen, so that it is said that so-and-so saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and spoke to him face to face. This has an astounding effect that overwhelms the traveler until he is relieved from it. So in this world, the true himma, the passion, ultimately is to see the real, the divine presence, in the world of the Jabarut, in the similitudes. Here, Iblis, the devil, cannot confuse the traveler, so the traveler thinks that he sees the real, but in truth he is seeing the shaitan. And this spiritual vision is gnosis, and then there's divine law, and then there's embodying the ethics of the way. Then it is a generous honor from Allah to his slave, and it comes by true and correct passion. But if the vision is followed by an evil attitude, or atheism, or hypocritical holiness, and following low desires, then it was shaitan or Iblis who came to discharge the traveler from the way. Okay, so again, you're getting some hints. He's showing you some of the real ways of reaching the world of similitudes, the world of God, coming into that higher level of consciousness. He's showing you what you need to learn. He's showing you what you need to walk through and to understand. And he's helping you in that deep way as you're walking. Okay, and if you're going to reach this state of unveiling, the state of visions, the state of witnessing, the state of mushahada, then you have to do your walking, and that means you're striving. You have to strive with your ego self. You have to strive with your nafs. You have to strive with everything inside of you and allow yourself to open into this presence. Okay? So I'm just going to read a little bit more, and then we're going to go ahead and stop. And Abdullah, are we doing an hour and a half today or an hour? I'm sorry.
No, 1 hour, Ibrahim. So we're
time we have.
a few more minutes. 1 hour, Ibrahim.
I'm not hearing anything, so I'm not sure. Maybe if somebody knows and wants to unmute and tell me, you can.
We're doing 1 hour, Ibrahim.
1 hour. You have a few minutes left.
All right. Well, anyways, let me read a little bit more and we'll go forward from here. Okay. So
1 hour, Ibrahim.
He says, the prophet, peace and blessing upon him, said, I saw my Lord, blessed and glorified is he, in the best image. And he said to me, O Muhammad, what are the high assembling quarreling about? And I said twice, O my Lord, you know best. He then put the palm of his hand between my shoulders, and I found its coolness between my breasts. And I then knew what it was, what is within the heavens and the earth. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam then recited, and in this way we showed the Prophet Abraham or Ibrahim the dominion, the malakut of God over the heavens and the earth, that he might be of those who are certain. Then Allah asked the Prophet again, O Muhammad, what are the high assembly quarreling about? And Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, about the expiation of sins. About the expiation of sins. And I'm still here with you. Just let me check this real quick. I thought I might have. Okay. Good. He said, and what are the expiations of sins? And Muhammad said, walking on foot to congregations, sitting in mosques after prayers, letting the water of ablution reach its place to clean the blemishes. Whoever does this will have a good life and will be cleaned of his sins, as clean as the day when his mother gave birth to him. To attain the high stations, one should offer food, extend the greetings of peace, should stay up at night and worship while people are asleep. He said, say, O Allah, I ask you for goodness, to avoid disagreeable deeds, to be provided with good deeds, with the love of the poor. And I ask you, O God, to forgive me, bestow your mercy upon me, and accept my repentance. And if it is your will to try people with distraction, then let me not die distracted. Indeed, Allah has spoken the truth, and so did his messenger. Peace and blessings be upon him. Okay, let me repeat this to you one more time, because it's a very important part of things. He's saying that to reach to these levels, that there are expiations. What are sins? Sins are when we do things that Allah doesn't want, God doesn't want. And when we do those things, that we have to expiate for them. By the way, this is what Jesus taught, and this is what Muhammad taught, this is what Moses taught, Abraham taught, David and Isaac and Ismail, and all the prophets taught the same teaching, that there are sins on the planet and that we have to expiate them. And so these are those teachings. Okay, I think that might be enough for this reading in the moment.
Can you hear me now, Ibrahim?
I'm actually not clear what the actual was. Can someone tell me if this was going to be maybe just chat? If this was an hour, or
Ibrahim,
whether this talk was going to be an hour and a half. If you could just show me in the chat box here, I would really.
Ibrahim, look. Look at my picture. Okay, here. Are you hearing anybody, Ibrahim?
Abdullah?
Yeah.
Oh. There you are. Now I'm hearing you.
Okay, you see this? 1 hour. Okay.
Oh, that's 1 hour. Okay, thank you. Apologize, I couldn't hear anything. Thank you.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So we're complete. Is there anything that you want to say? Final words?
Just that for the new people, that if you want to learn this way and walk the Sufi path, that this way is available and you can learn it. There are many teachings, there's many books. We have the university, you can attend the university if you'd like. If you want to learn to purify yourself, it's very important to learn to purify your heart and learn the striving against your own ego self and how to do that. And also, if you are needing healing, you can learn healing. And we will be doing a course. Billy, you want to talk about that course coming up?
Yes, so we've got a 6-week Zoom course that will be beginning in August. We'll be putting information about that within a few days. And then Ibrahim will be doing a 3-day workshop in Minneapolis the last weekend in September. And we'll link information to that to both Dr. Jaffe's website and the Sufi Center Minnesota website on the YouTube video.
Yeah, beautiful. So I hope to see everybody, and thank you. And I know I went pretty deep into the Sufi teachings today, and that some of the stuff we talked about were actually quite deep and quite profound and very Sufi. But I thought it might be valuable for you to really understand how it works and what it means to strive, what it means to purify, and how to really have this connection to God, which is really through the striving and the purification of our hearts. So I wish all of you the very best, and I pray that Allah blesses you, He keeps you safe, He protects you. I ask Him to take you away from anything that might be damaging you or hurting you. I ask Him to turn your hearts back to Allah. I ask Him to open the glorification and the praising of the One through your heart, through the singing, through the knowing. And I ask Him to give you real wisdom and real truth in every part of your lives. And may we all thank Him, and may we all be in remembrance of Him each moment. So thank you, everyone. Assalamu alaikum